get us in an awful lot of trouble, man.
We already in trouble.
Maximum terror.
Jesus coming in hideous.
Maximum King.
Maybe tomorrow will be our world again.
Dino De Laurentiis presents Stephen King's Maximum Overdrive.
Welcome to Two Movies Enter, One Movie Leaves. This week's show we're going to be having a bit of a face-off between two Stephen King automobile movies.
Specifically, mad automobile. Evil automobile.
Evil, possessed automobiles. Yes. So it's Christine versus Maximum Overdrive. So we're going to continue with our little the movie score breakdown, and I think that's working quite well, so I think we're going to go on with that. So normally I suppose we give an introduction to the movies, but one of the first things that we do is kind of award score for the plot, so that'll be our way of doing. So we start off with Maximum Overdrive.
Why not?
With Maximum Overdrive, it's directed by Stephen King himself, based on a short story by Sapphire. Precious. Sapphire, precious, by a novel by you'll have to forgive, the dog is jumping around like a little fucking lunatic at the moment, so if you hear any jumping in the background or squeaking, so we'll have to get the squeaker off him in a minute. He'll wear himself out. He's just after doing a load of cocaine, just like Stephen King did when he was doing
Maximum Overdrive.
It's actually famous. The film is famous for Stephen King
just being
on coke at the time. I think it might have been his only directing thing. I don't think he really enjoyed it, or maybe
enjoyed it too much.
Yeah, it was panned at the time when it came out. But the plot to it is that all electrical goods come to life.
There's a comet basically is flying near Earth, or so the news is reporting. And as the comet comes closer and closer to Earth, anything that has any sort of an engine in it basically comes to life.
But everything comes to life. It doesn't make any sense. This is the whole thing. It's anything that's a motor or anything that's electric.
Anything that has any kind of a motor or electric in it. So like the radio will turn on, a car will start driving, a fucking...
But some cars don't start.
That's exactly what I pointed out. There's one or two cars that didn't turn evil at all.
I have a funny feeling because we saw a couple of scenes in the version that we're looking at, even though it's not known as the director's cut, if there is a director's cut. But there was a scene in it where one of the kids who's trying to escape from his school when it gets shit goes down, where his coach gets killed by what would you call it?
Automated baseball pitching.
No, it's the cans.
Oh, the cans, sorry, rather than the ball.
A can dispensing machine fucking cracks his head open, and then a lawnmower chases after him. So it's like how a lawnmower can be set, because it's not even a self-propelled lawnmower. I don't even think they were around really at the time.
I don't know. Well, it still had a motor in it. I think that's the thing. It's if it has any kind of a motor in it.
But there was someone was dead. Well, I was going to say is there's one scene where they're going by, and when he's cycling along, and there's a woman hanging out a window with the cord of a hairdryer killed her, but it wrapped itself around her neck. So it's like, how did that?
Well, I suppose there's still a little motor in a hairdryer. The one that confused me wasn't there a phone kill someone? I don't think there's any motor.
Yeah, that's what I'm on about. There was fucking an arcade machine possessed a guy. It's the cast. We'll get to the cast who's in it, but at the start of it, it's is it John or Gene Carley? Basically, fucking Gus Fring from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Is in it very, very briefly.
And totally unrecognisable, actually. Yeah.
But he was in, I'm fairly sure he was in Do the Right Thing as well. He had a bigger role. But he was in a lot of those kind of movies. And it's just because he's synonymous with Gus Fring now. Yeah. And he does not look like Gus. You know, in real life, he does not look like Gus Fring. Yeah. But he was just so believed. It's any actor like that when they get...
They just disappear into the role itself.
Into it. But yeah, that's the plot to Maximum Overdrive. Whereas the plot with Christine is basically boy falls in love with a car who may or may not be possessed or may or not be evil.
Murderer. Yeah.
Yeah. The whole plot with Christine, because I went up looking it up because I was convinced that it was in Dark Tower as well, Christine. Of course, Christine is directed by John Carpenter. And I suppose it's a little bit different from John Carpenter's normal fare, but it's got the fog spooky vibes going on.
Yeah,
with
and
it.
it's got the John Carpenter music going on. with it as well, yeah.
And it's like it's shot really well. It's a John Carpenter movie, so it's going to be shot really well. But it's the nerdy boy. He buys this car that's an abandoned.
A beat old hunk that this weird old country guy is selling that belonged to his brother, who basically died in the car.
Yeah. Now the way that the film puts it is that like Christine was evil from the moment that she
Came
was
off the assembly line. Yeah.
And no one really knows where the supernatural powers come from. Apparently, in the book, it's the owner of the car. He got it built with specific
Evil parts.
specification. Yeah. So he wanted it built a certain way. So the theory in it was that he had Christine built to be kind of like a reservoir for his soul, or reciprocal for his soul. So he sacrificed his daughter and his child in it, and Christine is possessed by the previous owner, who was evil.
Would you not think it's something better than a car, though, to like put your soul into?
It was the 1950s.
I mean, even a mannequin would probably be better, because at least you can move around a little bit.
Yeah, but you'd melt.
Cars can melt too.
Yeah, well, Christine can't. Christine has the power of regeneration.
Yes, though, she's like Wolverine.
Yeah, but in the movie, that's not very clear. There's bits hinted at with it, and
well, I mean, it's quite clear when Christine gets totally basically fucking.
Oh no, yeah, it's clear that Christine is like evil, but you don't know it's possessed by the previous owner. It just seems that Christine is just like this evil entity that like
loads of people end up
fall
dying
in
or
love
committing
with,
suicide or fucking killing other people in. Yeah.
So as well, Christine, like for people who are fans of Stephen King or Stephen King adaptations, which there's quite a lot of them because there's quite a lot of Stephen King books. Stephen King famously not a fan of Stanley Kubrick's version of The Shining. Now, I never read The Shining, but we saw a made-for-TV version, which was fucking actually really, really, really good. Very, very different. And that was Stephen King's favourite version of it. So when you look at that, you kind of go, I can see where his problem was, because the main problem with difference with The Shining, say Stephen King's version and Kubrick's version. In Kubrick's version, Jack Nicholson's character is just... he goes mad in it and he's evil and there's no redemption kind of thing for him. He tries to, whereas in Stephen King's version, he was a good dad. He was a really, really nice man. He pulled himself together near the end and he blew up the Overlook Hotel.
Yeah. Did you not read the book? I've read the book years
I never read
ago,
the book.
like, yeah.
See, because I saw The Shining when I was really, really young. And I didn't like it. So I was like, I'm not going to read the book because I thought, and as well because it was made by Stanley Kubrick, I thought, well, like it's probably, I didn't realise that it veered off that differently from it.
But anyway, Christine.
He thought Christine was just boring and he didn't think it represented. I think maybe he was talking about his own movie, Maximum Overdrive, because he was like, I prefer a movie to be a piece of shit and a little bit more exciting than to be just boring. And in his view, Christine was just boring. Now, I don't hold that sentiment. I think Christine is... really, really, it's one
interesting points.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite movies. As I know, Maximum Overdrive is one of your favourite movies.
Well, you have a lot of favourite movies, so every time we do one of these, you're like, it's one of my favourite movies.
Yeah, but that's why we're doing them. We're not going to have, I hate it. Let's talk about movies that we hate.
You're not a particular fan of Maximum Overdrive now, in fairness.
Well...
You've probably seen it so often because of me that you've been forced to like it.
I really enjoyed looking at it this time around. I really, really enjoyed it this time around. Maybe it's because enough time has gone by between it, but and we haven't been looking at a lot of 80s movies, which we used to do, that it was like, fuck, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be very tight with them. But like on the first scores, we're going to be with the plot and say with the story arc. So with Maximum Overdrive, there's not really an arc, is there, with the characters? The characters are the same as when they started. Emilio Estevez is one of the main characters and he's like the hero. And he's like the hero at the end, and a woman shows up who's his immediate girlfriend. Yeah,
and they immediately fall in love and will do anything for each other. Yeah. We'll talk about that, I suppose, in the characters though.
But there's no arc.
I actually think there's more of a clear through story in Maximum Overdrive than Christine. I know.
Well, there is. Well, yeah, because it's just evil cars and trucks and the Green Goblin.
But that's what I mean. We're looking at like sort of plots, and all the rest. So it establishes at the beginning there's a comet coming towards Earth. You have all the ramifications of it. You see everyone getting killed and all the rest. At the very end, spoilers, anybody who hasn't seen it, they manage to sort of escape and they go off to an island. Where
I didn't say what the plot was with it. We only said that there was like things. It's about a bunch of people that get stuck at
or basically a roadside kind of filling station
garage,
cafe.
When all these trucks are killing people and go mad, so they're stuck there.
They're trying to hold out. Yeah.
In a weird kind of way, it's a little bit more like a John Carpenter movie.
It
than
is
Christine
like
is.
the taking a pill in 1, 2, 3 kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a holdout film as such. Yeah. But as I said, you have the story plot there where people join together, they band up, and people are a little bit selfish at first, and then they start working together, and then they manage to escape, and then it's all nicely kind of tied up at the end because it goes back to a news bulletin, and it's basically like, the comet has passed, but actually it was a UFO.
Yeah, I forgot. They're like, there was a UFO hiding behind something that was on, and the Russians shot it out with a nuclear weapon, and it's like,
There's a true story there. Do you know what I mean? So.
But it really felt like someone who was on cocaine just going, I don't know how to end this. Oh yeah, fucking UFO, Russians killed. But there is that kind of insanity, 80s insanities too, where
it's
you kind
just
of go,
bombastic, yeah.
But still, I think with the arc of the story with Christine is more because you get the whole thing with Artie
being a nerd and being bullied and all the rest, and then he suddenly, once he gets the car, he gets the confidence, and he turns into this funsy, cool guy kind of a thing. And, sort of the friend who was, I suppose, the jock all along that was looking after him suddenly becomes like the loser in comparison.
It's a weird love story, I think, Christine, because you got this whole thing where it's quite clear that the two best friends at the start of it, they like love each other. There's a bit more than just like platonic love going on there. Like they really love each other. And then Christine comes into the picture and the friend gets kind of sidelined, yeah. And
as well, I mean, I don't think it's addressed enough. Like the guy who was good to Artie all along and was looking out for him and such, there's a girl he fancied in the school and Artie ends up going out with her.
Yeah.
But like sort of kind of chooses Christine over the girl. But in the meantime, this poor guy, the best friend, ends up getting basically paralysed at a football match, and he's just like, oh well.
Yeah. And it's kind of nearly implied that it was Christine because he couldn't stop looking at her. And I think from reading up on the wiki about there's a lot of, because one thing, I love John Carpenter, but one thing I will say is he's a bit loose with plots at times. And I think with Christine, very loose with some of the stuff. Where when you're looking at the first few times you go, yeah, sure, don't, because you're just looking at the car killing people and you're more into that. But then when you're looking at it a little bit more, you're like, why did that happen? Why did this happen? Then when you read it, this is one of the main points of the book, but it's just put in. Now maybe it was like cut. Maybe there's stuff cut out of it. I don't know, but
equally, I suppose at times you don't necessarily need to have everyone spelled out either.
No, you don't. No. Especially for an hour and a half long movie. But I suppose it's just a thing because I'm after looking Christine so many times as well, where it's like digging deeper into it, kind of going, I'd like to know this, and whereas I suppose that's what the fucking book is for anyway.
Yes, there you go.
But so you think Maximum Overdrive has a better plot? I think Christine has a better plot.
So are you going to give it a 1 each?
I think it's going to be 1 each because I'm not going to move on it.
Well, neither am I.
So entertainment value and rewatchability, I think they're both very rewatchable, as we've rewatched both of them since they probably came out numerous times. Entertainment value, I do think Maximum Overdrive.
It has to be, in fairness. I'm sure we'll be talking, about sound effects and all that later on, but it has AC/DC doing the music score for it. It's fucking awesome.
But it's so stupid. There's bits of it where it's just like the whole thing with the arcade at the start with John Carter or Gino. I can't.
Gianluca, whatever his name is. Yes. That sounds really condescending and
it's really hard because I know it might be Juan Carlo Espanito or it might be, it's just with fucking Irish. We can't pronounce the Juan with it properly, so apologies to any of our Latin friends.
Yes.
I think Maximum Overdrive
absolutely wins out. Sheer entertainment value. I mean, I've been watching this since I was a very small child, and as I said to you, like, I mean, the Green Goblin truck used to scare the shit out of me as a kid. And as an adult, it's just pure entertainment. And it is that whole thing of, it's a siege film. They're holed up in their roadside cafe, and it's just how all the characters interact and all these evil, like, there's bikes driving around, there's like an army fucking gun mounted turret
It makes no sense.
arrives
Like,
along.
the gun is alive.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's hilarious. And there's so many things that can actually kill you that you don't think about. People are like, starts off like in the cafe or whatever, and she goes to cut something with like one of the electric knives.
Are electric knives even a thing anymore?
I don't. Well, I mean,
They were big in the 80s.
That's what I was going to say. They were a big thing back then, because I remember every Sunday for the Sunday roast, the father would get out the electric knife and stand back.
It was a sign of people being rich.
We were not
As
rich.
you'd fucking, it was like taking a chainsaw to a bit of meat. You just fucking destroy the meat.
Here's your shreds of beef, everybody.
But it's like the deaths are great in it. They're all, like, I love red letter media. And when they're looking at some of the best of the worst, when they start cheering for death scenes, and it's very much, I could picture that. I imagine they're after covering this at some stage.
Yeah.
But there is, when people get hit by, you kind of go, and the bit with the coach at the start where the kids are playing baseball, and the
kids are getting killed as well, which is terrible.
The coach goes off to get like a soft drink, and the can dispenser just blasts him in the fucking head a few times when it kills him. Then there's one bit in it where there's a kid running, and it's quite obvious it's someone throwing cans at the kids, but they're full fucking cans.
Yeah.
One of the cans hits one of the kids in the back, and the kid
proper takes him down. Like.
Yeah, you can see him kind of reaching behind his back, grabbing for where he got
probably
hit.
had broken ribs.
I'd say it was probably Stephen King coked out of his head, but it looked like it wasn't an acting thing. And like this used to fucking up until I think around the late 90s or the 2000s. Mad shit used to go on in film sets.
Yeah, it wasn't overly safe, I suppose. Well, health and safety wasn't the primary concern.
I think a couple of people died, and then people were like,
Jesus.
Maybe we can't.
Careful, yeah.
But it was quite obvious that kid got fucking pelted with the can.
Yeah.
But then there's the whole scene where the kid that's escaping, his dad works at the petrol station, so he's trying to get to the petrol station. It's just insanity. It's constant. It's nearly like the opening scene to Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, with it, but not done as well. But it's
like, that's the thing. I mean, like, that's another reason why I like it so much as well, because you've got all these different elements. You've got all the adults that are sort of holed up in the siege kind of thing. There, you have the love interest going on. You have a little bit of like, sort of sex for anyone who wants to have like the little bit of the softcore going on there. So you have all of that. You have all the sort of the friends getting on. You've the newlyweds, the bit of the comedy element. You've got the kid running around on his bike. He's like trying to make his way as a survivor through like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. You even have a dog that got killed by a remote control car.
Oh yeah.
And it was just a throwaway thing, like the kid just cycling along down the street going, oh my god, I must get to the petrol station. And there's this poor lovely golden Labrador, and he's just this remote control car absolutely buried in the dog's face.
I'd say Stephen King had a fucking ball making it. I'd say afterwards when people looked at it, they're probably like, what have you done? I mean, that's not to say that Christine isn't entertaining, but it's more serious.
It is, yeah.
It's a bit more heartbreaking.
There's moments of like comedy in it, because Artie himself is, I suppose, a bit of a comedic kind of a character and plays up to the nerdy aspect of it. But it's a lot more sinister and serious.
Yeah, and as well, because Artie is a likeable character.
And you see him turning slightly dark and evil. It is a bit troubling, like,
Yeah, you kind of get to, because it's not his fault, all these things that happen. It's no one's fault, really. It's just like this evil. So it's like everyone kind of gets fucked. In Christine, really. But yeah, it's like they're both really good. So this is where it's kind of hard with it. But I think Maximum Overdrive is definitely...
For sheer entertainment value, it has to be. I mean, as I said, even just the sheer fact that they have AC/DC providing the music.
Like, I could easily throw on Maximum Overdrive again.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Exactly, and watch it again.
Well, Christine, I think it'll be maybe in another year's
give it a
time.
while, exactly, yeah.
Now, when we come to the theme of the movie, like... There's no team in Maximum. Maybe technology evil, technology
that's what
bad.
I was just going to say.
But it's not even technology. It's like it's aliens.
Yeah, I suppose.
Aliens are bad.
Yeah, well, you see, it's all these things that mankind creates to serve itself, and then all of a sudden, sort of things that serve it turn against
because
them.
they get the AC/DC song in there to start with. Who made who?
Yeah, you see, they just nearly
If I made me, you made you, you made me.
But like it's. You have those teams there. You have the teams, I suppose, of like who pulls together, who is a big bastard, who is out to save their own skin, who's the hero. You have all those like usual story teams.
They all kind of pull together. Like I mean, there's 2 or 3 shitty characters in it. But they're not even going against the group. They're not even being selfish. Like the main prick who owns the thing, who's like quite obviously an asshole at the start, he's getting people in that are on parole.
Yeah, on work schemes, so they're stuck working shitty hours.
Yeah, and he's
jobs.
like, you do extra hours or I'll get you sent back. Yeah. And then the other guy who's a creep, like the Bible salesman, who's like gropey with the hitchhiker. There's a bit where his car gets smashed up by one of the things at the start when he's sitting in the diner and he's doing the whole like, oh, this is a great fantastic Bible and it's lovingly made and all this. And he's like, shut up, bitch. My fucking car. But he's just horrible and he gets killed
almost instantly.
Yeah, but then he starts screaming later on in the film, and they're like, "Oh my god, he's still alive! We better go and save him." But he's just, even when he's like half dead, he's just horrible.
Yeah, he's like, "You better drag me in there. Come on, boy, pull harder."
He's like the fucking zombie at the first episode of Walking Dead. But see, the thing is, I get like it's just like, oh, technology bad thing. Whereas in Christine, it's a bit more than technology bad. I do think it's like Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is famously a gay movie. I don't know what way to kind of phrase it.
Or a parable, or no, not a parable. But
It's
I know
a parable.
Yes. I don't know.
Oh, Zacchaeus, get out of that man's asshole. It's like Nightmare on Elm Street 2, it's about like, it's quite obviously about the main character being gay and wanting to come out, and Freddy's like inside of, that's kind of stuff. But it was like, it was really taken by the gay community, so they could see it. Whereas, like, geez, I would have been, I don't know, 6 when it came out. So I'll quite obviously go straight over your head. Yeah. Now, people hated Nightmare on Elm Street 2 for years, probably maybe because of those things in it. Like, it was very different from Nightmare on Elm Street 1, but I quite liked it when I was younger. I thought there was a good bit of action in it. It was kind of funny. It was the start of Freddy becoming Freddy really. Character, but it's, Christine, I think, is definitely like a weird love story. Like, it's definitely a love story between him and the car, him and the other fella, your woman and him,
his girlfriend,
and
rebelling and acting out against his overly stifling parents.
But it's a coming of age drama thing, and it's overcoming bullies, killing bullies.
Maybe not the best.
There's quite a lot going on there. So I think that there's more with the theme.
I'll give you that,
Christine.
Yeah, of course.
There's more to it. Like the Maximum Overdrive is just like, and that's all that it's meant to be.
Yeah,
it's just setting up the scenes for the action. Whereas Christine, you could do a play of Christine.
Yeah, you could easy.
Like, I'd pay to see a play of Maximum Overdrive. You'd have people,
actors running around with like cardboard boxes, lorries.
The Green Goblin. Hey, Spider-Man. So I think for the team of the movie, Christine has to get
absolutely,
it.
I think.
Now, acting, characters and performance.
I think the lorries have to take it.
It's funny, though, isn't it? With like how you can people go on about anthropomorphizing things, whereas a lot of the cars or they take on their own, like the Green Goblin one, and it was weird looking at this time because what I always remember that the Green Goblin was nearly the leader of it.
It was,
and had more of a big role, but it's hardly in it. It's in at the start. It kills someone at the start, and then it's at the end. It chases after him.
Yeah. But I think it's kind of like the showpiece trope, so that you kind of know. Yeah. And it does kind of like, it's like, right, okay, we're all going to circle the garage now until they come out and they fill us up.
It doesn't come, when you rewatch it, it's not the leader, but it just had that, that you end up kind of go and put it into it, where it's a different cars in it and the different vehicles. Like when the army one came along, there's something about the movement of the gun, where it was like nodding at people, where you kind of go, oh, you could see a soldier in an 80s movie.
Well, that's it,
like
yeah.
that.
And that was the thing. It had the distinct personality of being like, something that was from the army. It had that whole regimented feel to it, where it was like giving orders and stuff like that, and it was barking out orders. But instead of barking out orders, it was shooting bullets and pointing, as you said.
But since we're comparing the acting of vehicles, I think Christine
full of malice,
is better. Well, because Christine uses the music.
Yes.
It'll play the music like the 50s, and nearly, say, like when someone's trying to get in, like locks the door, you're knocking and you can't come in.
Yeah.
It's got that thing going on. And as well, there's bits where I think they went through fucking like about 20 something cars in Christine. I don't know where, but I'm fearing maybe it's on the Blu-ray that we have, that there's a making of on it and they were talking about it. But like that, there's different versions of Christine as well for different moods. Like near the end when it gets vicious, it's got like all the jagged, it's nearly the mouth open where the grill is on it. So I think like with Christine has more of a range compared to the other.
I suppose it's more dialogue than some of the others, I suppose.
But as well, even with the acting in Christine, like I won't say it's stellar acting. It's not like fucking Oscar-winning performances. But I do think it's better than Maximum Overdrive, because people have to portray different emotions. Where Maximum people are getting killed in Maximum Overdrive and they just go, oh Jesus.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think because there's fewer characters, I suppose, to deal with in Christine, you get a sort of a deeper perspective on them all. Like you see his overbearing parents, and they're
bastards.
Yeah, and they're painted like, you can see that the mom is just totally suffocating, and the father is just this sort of dictatorial fella, and the best friend as well, so you get to see them kind of living their lives, I suppose, and how they interact with everything.
But they're all sympathetic, say, apart from the parents and the bullies. The bullies are just hard. When the bullies get killed in it, you do kind of go,
you cheer. Yeah, you're like, good. Yeah,
fuck them. Because they're not just. It's not like harmless bullying. It's fucking
it's
vicious bullying. Like they bust up Christine and take a shit on the dashboard. Yeah. But like they pull a knife on him at the very start on the first day of school. But Keith Gordon, who plays Arnie, he's brilliant because he is so sympathetic from the whole. And even you kind of get the impression that he's battling with something near the end of it, that he doesn't want to
be proper evil.
Be what he is, but he just loves Christine. And John Stockwell.
And I think at the start as well, like he kind of says the friend asks him, why do you like, and he's like, it's just I saw something that was uglier than myself, and I thought I could help her and do her up, like, so you'd see how he sees himself as well, you know.
Now it's one of my favourite movies of all time, and it is one of my favourite movies of all time, not just like hyperbole. Trick or Treat, which is similar with Ragman. He goes through, but like he turns away from and goes, oh no, I don't want Sammy Kerr to be killing people with it. Whereas in this, Arnie kind of embraces it, but you still think that there's a bit of goodness in him. Whereas the girlfriend Lee in it, she's, I don't know, you kind of go, why do you like him?
I know, it's just what redeeming characters does he have, really?
And it's like, has he, after being like sucked into or has she been sucked into whatever is going on there as well? But I do think that the acting is just an awful lot better.
It is, like, I mean, even sort of the boss of the junkyard, like, he's this big sort of overbearing dickhead, but at the same point he's trying to be nice to Artie, but he's just horrible at the same point. It's in
the book, apparently he deals drugs and stuff, the way he's saying to get you to do these jobs, and Arnie was basically drug running for him. And your man knew the guy who owned Christine as well, and he was like, he's one of the meanest sons of bitches you'd ever meet, he says. But so he's not meant to be there's a dodgy shit going on there. Of course, but the film he comes across as being,
well, I don't know, he comes across as being an asshole in the film as well.
At first, but then he kind of softens to, where you go, this guy is probably just like a bit...
a gruff old fella,
But it's good acting. I don't think you can argue the acting in Christine is way better, because like... It's basically just Emilio Estevez doing 80s Emilio Estevez.
Pretty much, running around in tight blue jeans and blowing shit up.
He basically fucking plays Billy the Kid again, in Young Guns. And the same character he played in a lot of things in the 80s. And it's weird looking back at it, because he's a very small statured guy, but he was leading man stuff in the 80s.
Yeah.
And he was in bigger movies, and like he went into a lot of B movies, but like I suppose St. Elmo's Fire.
He was the action hero though as well, which nowadays would not normally fly, like, but it's good to see the everyday man being the hero.
Yeah, but there was something, he seemed to be more like Martin Sheen than Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, Charlie went to totally different way.
And Emilio Emilio Estevez wanted to take his mother's name because he didn't want to have or be compared to his father or have that put, which quite how he wouldn't be in movies if his father wasn't Martin Sheen anyway. But
he wanted to make it on his own name rather than using the family name as such. Yeah.
But I'm sure he got into directing later. I'm sure he's still doing stuff like I don't know. I always really liked Emilio Estevez, and I always thought he was a really good leading man. And
well, that's what I mean. He's a likable guy, so it seems it's like sort of a good everyday hero kind of a thing. It's that Bruce Willis quality, I suppose, in Die Hard or whatever. It's like this guy is believable as just being a normal guy who's been after put into some shit basically and just rolls his sleeves up and gets on with it and does the heroic thing. And I suppose everyone probably kind of go, I'd like to think of myself as being the hero in that situation.
Yeah, the rest of the
most people wouldn't. Most people like, I'm not going out there to get shot by a fucking machine gun.
But as well, because he was in kind of like Repo Men and so forth. It was more kind of a punk rock attitude. I think he had that bit of attitude to him. And you've never seen it actually. Breakfast at Tiffany's, or not Breakfast at Tiffany's, The Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club. I think I have, but it's not one of these films.
He kind of plays the jock in it.
Yeah.
But he's a very good actor, and I think a lot of people that probably wouldn't have been around in the 80s that are probably younger will know him from the Mighty Ducks and other things, which he was, he transitioned, I think, really well into more mature roles. With things, but Christine, I think, better acting with it. Dialogue, storytelling, and context.
I think without a shadow of a doubt, Christine is going to win this one because most of the dialogue in Maximum Overdrive is pretty much like just servicing the sort of let's get to the next action scene.
It is, yeah. It's like, holy shit, and you kind of, you better listen up, Bubba. You son of a bitch.
Yeah, just exclamations basically to punctuate the action.
The bit, like, there's a scene in it where one of the guys that's working in Emilio, when the main bad guy who owns the garage, he comes out and he blows up two things with a fucking rocket launcher. And Emilio Estevez is like, oh, I wonder if he's got more of those. So he goes asking a fellow who's taking a massive shit on the tile. And the scene goes on for all that you hear throughout the whole scene. It's just and it's like, you don't need to.
Why do you choose to do it here?
Yeah, where I'm sure Stephen King thought that it was hilarious. Yeah. But there's like this whole dialogue going on with your man going, he's got all these guns in the basement and it's not even locked up.
Yeah. It's just wander down. It's like, okay, that's fair enough.
But the dialogue, the story, like it's not great.
No, but then again, it's not the actual dialogue, but the storytelling and the context. Like, I mean, it's when the kid turns up and he's like, "Where's my dad? Where's my dad?"
Oh, yeah.
And they're kind of like,
"He ate dirt, kid," or something. Yeah.
And it's like, you could have phrased it a little bit nicer. You could have spun it a different way, for fuck's sake. Like, but they just have hilarious bits of dialogue.
Well, like even do you get to know Emilio Estevez's character's name in it? Because all it is when your woman shows up, she just starts calling him Hero. Bill, he is in this, but your woman is Brett.
Brett, why not? Brett. But yeah, I do think obviously the dialogue in Christine, I think, is some of it is a bit fucking like, I hate you, Mom, fuck off, Dad. There's a bit of that going on as well, which is a little bit
it's meant to be
puerile. I know, yeah. But I think because of, sort of explaining the pull on it, even just that one line, I saw something uglier than myself, and I thought I could, you're getting windows into the character, I suppose, through the dialogue, which is always something that's welcome.
Well, I think Carpenter is very underrated for how he can juggle a lot of different characters. It's, say with something like The Thing, it's one of the things that people don't talk about a lot. There's 12 or 13 characters in it, and they're all at the start. They're all the main characters. You get to know them all. They all appear on screen at the same times, and the conversation is handled between them.
And you know who's talking to who and everything.
So Carpenter can do that really, really well. You look at Maximum Overdrive, and there's a load of people in it, but you don't actually know any of the characters apart from the main two. And
it's only the standout ones as well. Like what's her face out of does the Simpsons voice.
Oh yeah.
She's such a standout weirdo character. Her voice is so distinctive anyway.
Yeah, newlyweds in it, yeah. And it's because they're quite young, they're meant to be, he's like, wants to be the hero as well. And
she's like, don't leave me a widow on my
but yeah, it's I think Carpenter just handles the storytelling an awful lot better because there is an actual story anyway from and Christine doesn't just finish with
and then it was aliens, or it was all a dream.
But even the context to it, there's more context to the thing. And but like Carpenter, he never gets. And I think definitely in the 80s he didn't get it. People thought it was probably more style over it. Although I think even at the time people didn't see that there was style. Some people didn't see, the critics didn't see that there was style in it. Like The Thing was seen as being like a disgusting movie. Christine, I think, I don't know how Christine actually did when it came out, but it's not a film that you hear a lot of people talking about. You know, would it be in a B movie? I suppose coming out. It was number 4, so I suppose it did. Yeah, it didn't get like
70% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff.
Yeah, but that's probably a long time afterwards.
I know, it is. Yeah, people like us going, "Oh my god, it's a classic," or whatever.
But whether you don't like when people are talking about the classic movies from the 80s, Christine, you rarely hear people talking about it. I mean, it's. You know, there's a lot of fucking tough competition there in the 80s, like with Lost Boys and stuff, where kind of it's harder for Christine to
shine
fit into. But I still think,
dialogue, Christine wins.
Yeah, Christine. Yeah. So on to the cinematography. I think hands down it's Christine.
I was going to say Maximum Overdrive.
Oh,
this is fucking brilliant.
but cinematography, you compare like Carpenter has like stuff like lens flares. Before lens flares were a thing, there's a lot of what should be kind of iconic shots in it, where it's, you know, the bit when Christine gets smashed up, and Arnie is there, and you kind of start seeing that it's regenerating, and he goes, "Show me," but he's standing there with the silhouette, and the lights blink on, and his shadow is there, and it kind of zooms in on the car, and the car reforming. You know, Carpenter.
No, in fairness, no, I was just trying chance my luck. But there's, you know, sort of, you know, where the the bully is like walking along, and then Christine is stalking through the sort of the underpass, and then it's just the lights flare on.
Yeah, and the music. That's what Carpenter is so good at doing with the ding.
Yes. That was a great rendition.
Ding.
Ding.
The whole Carpenter soundtrack.
Ding.
Ding. Ding. Ding. Ding. Ding. But so it's like hands down Carpenter. But it is Carpenter's style with it. Like Maximum Overdrive for a first time director, Stephen King. It's not bad, but there's like you can't kind of go, oh.
Yeah.
Could have a poster of the scene of your man on the toilet.
No, but you get a poster of like the Green Goblin truck or something. But no, even like say from a wardrobe point of view as well, you can kind of see it's very subtle changes for Artie. He was always wearing dark clothes anyway.
Like a 50s greaser,
But it suddenly gets more stylish, and then he starts dropping in some red elements as well to match Christine. You know, so it's you can see him kind of like him and Christine becoming one kind of thing. You know.
But even his eyes at the end of it,
that's not wardrobe though. Unless he changed out his eyes.
But remember very early on as well, there's a whole thing where he doesn't need glasses anymore.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of subtle things with it. Whereas I do think, like, it's terrible. Maximum Overdrive. It could be a TV pilot. So I think
okay. Christine wins that one.
Yeah. And when we're getting to the editing, the pace and the effects, there's some great effects in Christine with the car. When the car starts reforming, I think it's nearly akin to an American Werewolf in London.
That is probably the standout effect of Christine, I would imagine, all right, as regards special effects editing.
The murders, they don't really show much. There's a bit where Christine is on fire after it crashes into a garage and kills like a couple of bullies and is chasing a guy down the road. But you don't actually see him getting run over. You just see like a fiery corpse on the road. Whereas I suppose with Maximum Overdrive they do show more. There's more special effects in Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah. Because I mean the whole movie is a special effect basically. It's cars driving themselves, you know, it's sort of toasters fucking attacking.
Do you think the cars are driving themselves?
Yes, it's like Elon Musk. He's taking his inspiration from Maximum Overdrive.
That could fucking easily happen.
The fucking Cybertruck
we should be maybe that's his whole thing with the shitty Tesla cars that he's making. It's like a fail-safe thing. Just in case aliens do take them, they just crash into the car.
They'll crap out, but they're evil enough as it is, because they seem to be like snapping people's fingers off and stuff like that and catching them in the doors. Now, maybe they are attacking people.
I do think that Maximum Overdrive is paced an awful lot better than
That's just because
Christine.
things keep happening, though. It's just non-stop.
I think for modern audience and even audiences at the time, Christine would probably be a bit slow moving,
paced, yeah.
because it is really a character piece more than anything with it. So, but as well, it does get a bit, where you kind of go. It's just because I like the film so much. I think it flies by.
Yeah, you can tolerate some of the bits where it's kind of like it lingers too long. Maybe on sort of the young fella's talking about asking your one out, or sort of it's like, okay, this could be done in half the time.
Yeah. So I think Maximum Overdrive is probably paced a bit better, and I think the effects are better in Maximum Overdrive. Even though, like, when the big thing about but then getting the whole thing with Christine anyway, it is just it's a simple effect where it's just played in reverse with the car reforming instead of
But it's ingenious, like that's the thing, I love even the special effects of when the car returns to the garage and it's like burning and all the rest, just the smoulder and wreck. Like they're inventive. I like those, but I do think overall Maximum Overdrive just as sort of more special effects then, I suppose.
Well, there's just funny bit, like I always liked the cans killing people. I just always thought that was funny, and even with the arcade bit at the start of it, it's just so stupid. It doesn't make any sense at all. So I think we'll give the editing to Stephen King just to be.
Well, they're both Stephen King.
Yes,
But I know what you mean.
the soundtrack.
Well, no contest. Well, there is. I mean, John Carpenter, I always enjoy his soundtracks, but you can't be. Yeah, like literally everything is better with AC/DC.
Yeah,
That's
that's
would be better with AC/DC.
If it wasn't AC/DC, I don't.
No, the
AC/DC
soundtrack,
just fits it so fucking
perfectly,
well. And like, I mean, the sound design is probably terrible. But
probably, but it's just the music just overrides it. Like, TNT.
yeah. Now I can't even remember.
Right.
There doesn't seem to be a theme to Christine. Like with say
Something
Prince of
like-
Darkness or
Something
Mountain Man.
recognisable that you could hum, I suppose.
Yeah, with it where it seems more along the minimal thing, and I know there's like the 50s songs thrown into it, but it's not. When you do think of Maximum Overdrive, it's
AC. It's a rocking soundtrack that you need for that kind of
and
thing.
it makes it.
Yeah.
It just makes it. And there was a big deal made out of it at the time. I think Stephen King, who was like quite obviously a big fan of AC/DC.
Yeah. Sure, AC/DC have never done nothing before or since like it,
Although I don't know how anyone can't be a fan of AC/DC.
That's what I mean. Everything's better with AC/DC. It's at every Irish wedding. It's at every sporting event.
Every
It's
Irish
just-
funeral.
That's what I said. Funerals are made better with AC/DC. But it's like if you want to throw on one song at a party that'll cover everyone from young to old and certain musical taste, put on AC/DC and everyone go, yeah, I love AC/DC.
Only Celine Dion's cover version of AC/DC songs. But even what I was surprised by, because I see maybe they wrote a couple of songs for it, but at the time I thought that because there was in the 80s soundtracks were they had a life of their own. They were a thing away from the film even, and the soundtrack for Maximum Overdrive was really pushed with AC/DC, but it nearly made it look, it was like all original songs, but it seemed like Hell's Bells was on it, Who Made Who, For Those About to Rock. That there's a lot of best of AC/DC and maybe a couple of ones that they did for, I don't know, I'll have to go read it up on it. Like,
Or maybe you should have done it before this.
Why would I?
podcast.
You're the one fucking fighting for Maximum Overdrive. Yeah. But whereas with
Christine.
yeah, where the music I think is a part of Christine, it's actually part of the storytelling in Christine. Now, if you were a 50s doo-wop fan,
Yes, it'd be right up your alley.
yeah, you'd probably be like, oh, fuck AC/DC with their evil ways.
And the raucous rock music.
But I think
Yeah,
Maximum
has to.
Overdrive
Has
has to get it. Now, we're near the end, and
So do we have a clear?
it's there's 5 points to Christine and 4 points.
Oh, so I'm still hanging in the balance.
So with the two now, directing, the vision and execution, I think Christine has to get it.
I do think so, yeah.
You can't go with,
John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Versus, I know Stephen King, but he's a novelist. He's not necessarily a
yeah,
director.
and it's the only movie that he ever did, and he was fucked out of his head on. Now, John
having said
Carpenter
that-
probably was on quite a lot of cocaine at the time in the 80s.
That was the only movie I ever did. I'd be down.
Oh, yeah,
If I
yeah.
did Maximum
That's
Overdrive.
the thing, for the way people talked about it at the time, it was like made critically, it was made out to be this like absolutely
Clunker,
I'm just saying, it's very well shot. it's just, it's more of a straight to video thing. Well, even fucking, I'd say compared to maybe some of the Fast and the Furious things and even some of the Marvel movies nowadays.
If they re-release Maximum Overdrive in the morning, I'd go see it in the cinema.
Do you know, I think they might be remaking it.
Oh my god.
There's talks of remaking it.
Oh no, they probably do like all special effects as in CGI special effects that look like shitty
Oh,
Transformers.
they'd have to do it kind of a thing. And I think, what's it, Morgan Freeman is meant to be playing Emilio Estevez's character in it.
Is he not narrating it instead? Like, now the engine starts.
Yeah, and the penguins appear. But it has to be John Carpenter with the directing.
Yeah,
you can't.
in fairness, I know
but
you
like you were saying, it's not that it's nowhere near as bad. You will hear people talking about Maximum Overdrive like it's a piece of shit.
I think it's
not.
fabulous. And as I
It's
said,
far
like,
from it,
for a novelist, a writer to go and direct a film, like, I mean, it's not many people can pull that off.
Now, I think he might have, I could be wrong on it, but maybe he directed some of like Creepshow, which was Stephen King's version of like Tales from the Crypt with some of his stories, which I'm going to check very, very, very quickly.
No, probably not as quickly as you think.
Yeah, God damn you, IMDb. Kind of with the writer, the additional director. No, he's only one directing thing for Maximum Overdrive. So yeah, like for someone who never directed anything before.
Yeah, I would, as I said, if that was a film I managed to direct, I'd be fucking crowing about it for the rest of my life.
There's some really bad movies out there, like, and this is not one of them. And even shot wise, it was the same with House of a Thousand Corpses. When that came out, people were, oh my god, it's a fucking mess. And I was like, this is fucking brilliant. It's and people were, oh, it's too much fucking choppy, changey editing, and it's like, but why shouldn't there be?
Yeah. It's another visual language, yeah.
He's not trying to do fucking the Poseidon Adventure or fucking some shit that, you know, it's his own thing, it's his own unique voice. Whereas with Maximum Overdrive, I thought he served the thing well.
Do you want to give him a point each? Because I think that's a great film just for a one-off director.
No, you can't. With the execution, compare the two of them, like the whole look at the cinematography. Like,
we already spoke about the cinematography, though. We gave that to Christine.
But even with the execution of it, you can't. Like, it's a straight-to-video thing compared to what's a cinematic movie. Okay. As much as I like it.
You win this one.
Yeah. You can't. Now, it looks like Christine is after winning.
Maybe.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 compared to 4, and there's one left with the it factor. And I think Maximum Overdrive has to get the it factor.
Yeah. It is very much one of a kind.
It is,
in fairness.
There is that, even though technically Christine is after winning on a lot of and I think it's because of Carpenter with like the style of it, the story and everything else. I suppose the story is a bit better, but Maximum Overdrive as an enjoyable movie is
something
better
that
than
you
Christine.
go to the cinema and you whoop along to.
Yeah, you could have a couple of beers and look at Maximum Overdrive,
which we did.
Christine is more a somber affair.
Yes. It is more slightly more cerebral, I suppose. But Maximum Overdrive again is a film for anyone to enjoy. I can't. As a very small child, I wouldn't have enjoyed Christine, but as a very small child, I most definitely did enjoy Maximum Overdrive.
Did you know? Actually, I think you're right. We'll give for the directing. I'm going to wild card. Give it to Christine or Maximum Overdrive. Take it away because but at the same point, John Carpenter was probably on autopilot at that stage. It looked like a John Carpenter movie. Shot lovely, but there's nothing like standout really in Christine. There's nothing groundbreaking that he did in that compared to other movies and things. Whereas I suppose Stephen King, for a first-time director, doing that to make a really entertaining movie, and some of the action scenes and the explosions and things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, so
I'm glad you've come around to my way.
Especially when it comes to the it factor with it. So,
do we have an actual draw?
No, we have fucking Maximum Overdrive wins.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Just because you flipped your vote?
Yeah, by 6-5.
Interesting.
With it. So, it's close.
The machines will always
close
take
with
over.
But when it does come down to it, I suppose with the it factor with Maximum Overdrive, because Maximum Overdrive is just really rewatchable.
That's what I mean. I think Christine is for a specific audience. It's if you're a horror fan, you'll enjoy that.
Yeah.
I don't think if you're like say an action fan, you'll enjoy this. But Maximum Overdrive, it's like if you're a fan of aliens, if you're a fan of trucks, if you're a fan of machines, if you're a fan of, sort of.
And that's why Stephen King kind of pays homage to stuff like it's quite clear. What people don't really talk about, and like Romero's fucking Night of the Living Dead. I'm fairly sure it's on the radar, but it's lower with it anyway. That it was a comet going overhead, and they thought that like fungus got on the satellite, and that's what caused the dead to reanimate. And then, like when they wanted to finish off fucking Night of the Living Dead, there's no more corpses coming back. That's why they can round them up and kill them. But then they went on with different thing.
Yeah.
But the original thing, so that's like with the fucking green glow with the comet and all that. That's paying tribute to Night of the Living Dead, so Maximum
because it is, and it goes along the lines of every zombie siege film as well,
It's basically Night of the Living Dead, but with trucks. Yeah.
Which even when you say it like that sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, but it is, it's got... It is
got
better
that
movie.
star factor, I think. Yeah.
That it's technically made Christine is better, the script is better, but I think
a more far-reaching appeal to all kinds of audiences. I think Maximum Overdrive would do
but
that.
I do think sometimes you have to, because this is what our podcast is going to try. We're going to be doing a lot of, as we go on, we're going to be doing a lot more probably obscure B movies and straight to video things from the 80s and the 90s. And sometimes it doesn't have to be like a fucking Oscar worthy movie to be a really,
Just
really
have
good
to be able to
movie. And
enjoy
sometimes, whereas,
Imagine that. Imagine Maximum Overdrive won an Oscar. That'd be brilliant. Well, maybe there's special effects or something back in the day.
the remake.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman
As Optimus
as the
Prime.
hero. But
Yeah,
I'm very Maximum
glad.
Overdrive wins.
Cool. I'm very happy.
Yes. So, if you agree, let us know in the comments. Or if you disagree, let us know in the
Also let
comments.
us know.
Yeah. Or if you have any suggestions for face-offs in the
future
future,
face-offs.
let us know. And unless they're like fucking movies that the two of us absolutely despise.
The Notebook. I've
We're
never
not going
even
to be looking.
seen it.
Just let us know. And
No roms. I'll do a rom-com, not a rom.
Yeah, not even rom-coms, maybe not, so kind of obscure 80s action movies or horror
Narrows
movies.
it down quite a bit, yes.
Yes, thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, give us a like and subscribe, the usual shite.
And for those of